Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Steve sent me a story out of Ohio that I'm surprised this doesn't happen more often. It happens from time to time, but here's the deal. A man in Ohio was found guilty of altering a court order in Greene County. And a Greene County jury has convicted the man on multiple criminal offenses. But the court order alteration is what we're going to get to here. The man was found guilty of one count of felony tampering with government records, telecommunications fraud, and obstructing official business, along with 2 counts of interference with custody. The charges were connected to an incident that happened in May of 2021, according to a release from authorities. In May of 2021, the Fairborn Police Department was contacted by a mother who said that the defendant did not return their 2 children at the end of his court-ordered parenting time. So you have a divorced couple, they got kids, they've got a court order regarding parenting time, and the father did not return the kids to the mother. The Fairborn Police Sergeant was able to contact the father, the defendant, who claimed that the mother failed to appear at the last hearing before the Greene County Juvenile Court and that he had been granted additional parenting time. So that's a kind of story that makes sense on some level if it's true. If it's not true, of course, that's a problem. So the father provided the police with what he claimed was a new court order issued by the court. Detectives looked at it and said, this doesn't quite look right. Further investigation included a forensic review of data retrieved from Google, which showed that the man had manipulated the original court order and created a fake one. Now, the prosecuting attorney says court orders regarding parenting time should be of the utmost importance to both parents, and they carry the force of law and are to be respected. The defendant not only failed to comply with the court order, he decided to fabricate one. So there is a court order in place that he violated, and then he fabricated a fake one that he said gave him permission to violate that one. This is not only a crime against the court, but it resulted in some terrifying moments for the mother of these children, the prosecuting attorney said. He faces up to 63 months in prison and a fine of up to $15,000. So you might be saying, Steve, you've heard of that before? Seems often strange and unusual of a thing to have heard of before. And what I'm getting at here is that if you go to court and let's give you the prototypical case, okay? Let's say you, not even an attorney, just you by yourself, you go to court and you file a small claims court action against somebody. You've got a righteous cause to sue somebody for some money. Somebody owes you $500, you can prove it, you go to small claims court, other side shows up. Judge rules in your favor. Judge Wapner rules in your favor. You win a judgment for $500. And so what you get from the court is a piece of paper entitled judgment. And it'll say right on there, case caption, what the court is, who the judge was, what the date was, and it'll say this court, finds plaintiff gets a judgment. And it actually depends on the language, depends on where you are with respect to how the language will read. But the judgment is often a form, by the way, just a piece of paper that's already been pre-filled out, and they've got to put in the names of the parties and the case caption stuff and the amount of money. And then at the bottom is a spot for the judge to sign it, and it's often stamped with something. And then a court clerk will stamp it and file it with the court clerk's office where the file is kept, and the official version stays with the court. And then they'll make what are called true copies. And they call them different things, different states. It's some kind of verified copy, a certified copy, or a true copy, So if you are in court and a judge enters something, and it's going to go in the court file, but you need copies, you ask the court for true copies. And you can often go to the court clerk's office afterwards and say, I need true copies of something out of my file. And depends on what it is, they'll pull it for you. There might be a charge for it. And what a true copy is they will take the document that's been signed by the judge or stamped by the judge's clerk or whatever it is that makes it official in your place. And they will make a copy of it, but then they will do something to it to indicate that, yes, this is a Xerox copy or photocopy of the original, but it's an official copy. And they'll often do that with some kind of embossed seal or stamp. And they'll sometimes, the best examples are where they take one of those gold foil seals and put it right next to the stamp that says true copy. And they take one of those things that clamps down on it and it impresses the image. And it'll often say like Oakland County Circuit Court, Oakland County, Michigan, or something like that. Wayne County Circuit Court, Detroit, Michigan, and so on. When you walk into some place and you've got a document, and you go, this is a judgment. Well, the official judgment is with the court, but you've got a true copy of a judgment. And that true copy acts as if it is the original copy. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon to figure out that it doesn't matter. It's still just a piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper. And in this day and age where people have got scanners and laser printers and Photoshop, it ain't that difficult to take a document and create one that says something different but looks a lot like a real one. And I've heard of stories, and the ones that have made the news, where people have faked the transfer orders from a jail. So now this would take some inside knowledge, but generally speaking, if you're being held in jail, let's suppose that you got arrested, you're driving through Ohio, and you got arrested because they pulled you over for something, they ran your plate, and discovered that you're actually a fugitive and you're wanted in Michigan. Okay? So they hold you in a jail cell. Somewhere down the road, someone's going to show up with some paperwork from Michigan, possibly from Ohio also, that says, here you go, I'm here to pick that prisoner up. Here's the order to release them. And I've heard of people who actually got a hold of a release, the release order and what it looks like in that jurisdiction, and dummied one up and made it look real. And then the question is, can the person walking in the front door with that order convince the person that they're dealing with there that it is in fact a real order? And I've heard of situations where people got caught trying to do that. But I've also heard stories where people have looked at a judgment and said, this is just a piece of paper. This is just a piece of paper. And what they'll do is they'll just say, oh, okay, I'm going to make my own judgment. And they copy the form of this judgment and they fill in all the stuff that they want. And they just say, okay, and they pick a defendant and they go, this person owes me $9 million. And they fill in $9 million in the judgment. And then they pretty it up and make it look like a judgment. And they take it someplace and try to do something with it. And those kinds of fake judgments have also caused problems for people before. Because quite often when somebody's dealing with a judgment, in the old days in particular, they wouldn't necessarily call the court clerk and say, can you verify for me that a judgment was issued on this date against this defendant in favor of this plaintiff on this case number for $9 million? And nowadays, if you typed it in, it just come back, there is no case with that number, or that case number doesn't match a real case or whatever. And so there was a time when people were doing that. But this is also very similar to the people who simply file fake deeds. And this is probably the biggest problem with just fake paperwork in our society, is that people will dummy up transfer documents indicating that they bought a piece of property. And they'll walk into the clerk's office where they have the register of deeds for that county and go, yeah, I bought this piece of property. $20 is a filing fee. I want to file it. And they file it and it goes in the file. Now this thing in the file says they bought the property. And it's just a piece of paper they created with a laser printer and Photoshop and, copier. I mean, it's not that hard to do. And so in this case, they figured it out pretty quickly. And it sounds like that the forgery wasn't that good. But you can imagine a situation like this would unravel very quickly. Because when the man says, I've got an order from the judge that says I got full parenting time, she didn't show up for a hearing. They're going to call the mother up and say, well, he's got a new order that he got at the hearing a couple days ago. She'd go, I never heard about that. And that would immediately throw up a flag for somebody to do something such as call the court. Or the woman, if she has an attorney, would call her attorney, and her attorney would very, very quickly log into the system and go, no, there was no hearing on Friday, or whatever day it was. So it's bizarre the guy tried it in this situation because it would unravel so quickly. When somebody tries to get out of jail by having somebody fake the transfer order to get out of jail, their thinking is, well, all we needed to do is work for about half an hour. Because if somebody walks in with this and we walk out the front door, we skedaddle. And if they discover it's fake, well, hopefully we're gone. But with this, it's going to get discovered pretty quickly. It's going to be hard to get away with. The other one, of course, is the judgments or the stuff filed with the real estate causes more problems simply because somebody's got to go in and straighten that stuff out. But I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. But the good news is this guy got caught, he got convicted, and now he's going away potentially for up to 63 months in prison. So Steve sent me a story, thanks a lot, from WHIO Television. Man found guilty of altering court order in Greene County. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. My friends and I have named our garage band Duvet. It's a cover band.